Hello, everybody. This is Mile High Game Guys, a board gaming podcast.
You even practiced
Zach.
it. You didn't.
I did.
No,
I did not
doing
at
it
all.
live. I'm Jeff.
Yeah, doing it live. Adrian's not here yet again because his job sucks.
Yes, his job is the worst. He works a divorcee level of child custody schedule now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised if he's at Chuck E. Cheese. So.
Yeah. What he works how many days a week? 3, 4? I can't tell. 2 12s and 2 10s or something. And
no, I think it's just 12s, but it's just it's like 3 12s and it's like 3 days on, 2 days off, 2 days on. It's like on an 8-day schedule or some shit like that.
Yeah, and it only has like a 6-month rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's stupid is what it is.
Yes, and it makes it hard to be able to record things. So
yeah.
So we're doing it.
Also, yeah, we're doing it. Also, then when you try and do a stream, and then it's just like, hey, should we do a stream? Should we do a stream? Should we do a stream? I don't want to do a stream. Why not? Because we didn't plan for it. You mean how, like, we asked earlier, and we didn't hear anything?
You mean your idea that you said?
Yes. Sorry, Ofer.
Yeah.
Sorry to break your heart.
Ark Nova will happen
Adrian.
sooner or later.
Yep.
Anyways, board games to talk about.
Yeah,
on our board gaming podcast.
We can talk about some board games.
All right. Also, we're recording remotely because I'm sick. So
yeah, Jeff's sick.
Yeah,
and then also Adrian's the one that him not being there makes it harder to record not
in the
remotely.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I was sick.
So what have you?
I was sick all weekend. I don't know, but 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. I don't know. Whenever the last time we fucking recorded.
Yeah. Should we just start?
You know what it is? It feels even longer because I released it immediately after recording.
Yeah.
That's what.
That'll teach you.
Yeah.
Should we just do the big game first?
Yeah, we can do the big game first.
Cool. We decided to play Twilight Imperium 4th Edition because we are cool like that.
Yeah.
So I picked up the codexes that game. What is their sleeve come?
In my mind, it's Gamefly, but I know it's not.
No, it's not Gamefly. Zenter, right? It's with a Z or something.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So they actually did a print of all of the errata FAQ codex changes for Twilight Imperium. There's been 3 codexes. The 3rd codex most recently added a 25th faction, which...
For their 25th anniversary of Twilight Imperium. Or, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was super cool to be able to pick that up in print and not have to print and play those. So picked those up for Paul, and then we played Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, 8-player with the weird asymmetric 8-player X map.
The most bullshit map I have ever seen.
Yeah, so it was 8-player, asymmetric, so it wasn't like Mechatol in the center. It's in one of the Codex books. It's 2 or 3, whatever the Prophecy of Kings came out.
Something dog.
Yeah. But each location had like specific advantages and disadvantages. Like, I don't really know what mine was. It was a lot of mediocre, like smaller planets, but it was like 2 or 3 of them, but like no tech specialties. And Thursby had a zillion planets next to him with a zillion tech specialties. But it was also farther for him to get to Mechatol, because he was like, what, 4 spaces away?
I think he was like 5. I feel like
it was
in
far.
my mind it was 6, but
yeah.
I think it was probably 5.
Yeah.
And whereas like Ryan was just 2 away from it.
But
he was also
he had adjacent to him was hyperspace lanes. Literally all the hex. It starts in the middle of like a hyperspace lane route, so he has to like jump routes like and basically be adjacent to multiple players, 2 spaces. His homeworld's like 2 spaces away from other people.
Yeah. But it also let you and Paul be 2 spaces away from each other.
Yes.
Because there's a hyper hyperlane behind him.
Yep.
That like he wasn't involved in.
Yes. So we had, I was Clan of Sar, Ryan was the Nomads, Paul was the
Yes.
Titans, you were
The Yin Brotherhood.
the Yin.
I
with
had
with the new Omega updates.
yes, which was in the third codex. They made a lot of changes to them and a couple other factions.
Basically changed
so
up
when
their tech and
they
agents.
changed all of agents. Yeah, it was all of their agents and their tech, and it made it a lot better. Question mark. And so when I saw it in there, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll try it.
Better for a not random map.
Better. Yeah. So my area. Well, first we'll just get to everybody else. So
we had
Pat was right next.
Trader Lions.
Yep, Trader Lions. Thursby
Humans.
was
Soul.
Humans. Yep, Federation of Soul, and then Wes was the
new faction, the Catharis.
Oh yes, yeah, the 25th one. They're basically like
they're the spy agency that was based out of Mechatol Rex.
Yes,
that used to run the shadow, the CIA, the NSA of Twilight Imperium. So much so they actually don't have their own homeworld or pieces. They use one of 3 that are not being used in the game, and then they get a base on Mechatol Rex, but it's not like someone else can claim Mechatol Rex. It's always just kind of their district, and it has fucking space cannon and shit. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. One thing that is nice with them is that he used the Yssaril tribes, I think, as its he used Argent Dawn, Argent Flight.
Yes,
Argent Dawn's a WoW thing.
Yes, it is.
And so that means like you said, the faction itself can't play. So that was interesting. And then who was the final person that I didn't interact with?
That was
Eric.
the Gene Sorcerers.
Yeah, Eric were the Gene Sorcerers.
And then he didn't set up correctly, so he was fucked.
Yes. Pro tip: when the game says you should
start with these units,
with these units, actually start with the units. And then there was also something else that he forgot to do too, but I can't remember.
I think it was one of his main abilities, his passive faction ability or something.
No, it was he started with his starting agent flipped over.
Oh, that's right.
As in
yes,
he couldn't unlock it.
His passive agent. He was like, "How do you unlock this?" And I was like, "Oh, you just do.
Start with it.
You just do."
Yeah. All right. So that was everybody we played with.
Yes.
My section of the map. So we had some people, like you said, Thursby and Wes and Eric, just knee deep in planets.
Yeah.
That fucking picture of why can't I hold all these planets?
Yes, I had almost 20 at one point. I think.
Yeah. I had 2 planets right next to me.
Yes.
And that's it.
But
now they were 2 legendary planets, which once again I don't understand.
Yes.
How this is the 3rd time I've played this game in a row, and I always end up right next to fucking Hope's End.
Yep.
I'm fine with it because Hope's End is a great fucking planet.
Is that the mech one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's mech or draw a card.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Action card?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also had the person spawn 2 infantry.
Yes.
But that's it. That's all I had. And then any other planet that I wanted to get was either right next to Paul or right next to Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with, and those planets are extremely lacking in influence.
Yes.
And the Yin Brotherhood's whole thing is about when you're fighting, spending influence to do things. So,
yes.
especially in ground combat. And so I was fucked. You know how in some Catan games you're like, I am fucked before we even start because I had bad placement.
Yeah.
That's what this game was. I was okay. I was okay with that because really there was a primary goal, and it wasn't me winning. It was just make sure that Paul doesn't win again.
Spoiler alert, we'll get that later. Um,
Yes.
I was the Clan of Sar. First time I've played the Clan of Sar in TI4. I may have played them in TI3, but that was many years ago, and I don't remember. I enjoyed them, but I had Ryan right next to me, and Paul told him to come towards me instead of go towards Paul, because then Paul could just be like, well, I guess everything's mine now.
Yeah, Ryan just fucking loves listening to whatever the fuck Paul says. Anytime we try to convince him otherwise, it's just, come on.
Yes. Just don't. Do the opposite of what he says.
Yeah.
So the Titans.
There was a prime fucking spot that he could have taken as his first move, and then Paul convinced him to go otherwise, and then, wouldn't you know it, Paul went and got that fucking spot.
Yeah. And it was
he was going
to get that one now, because you can get the other one later, too. I'm not getting to it before your second action.
No, yeah. Well, and what it was is that as soon as Ryan didn't do that, I had diplomacy that round. I just fucking diplomacied that area to be like, all right, Paul, you're not fucking getting it this
round. Clan of Sar's pretty good. I just have to remember everything, because it's like a bunch of free builds.
You act like there's a lot of stuff to remember in this game.
Yeah.
And it's like anytime you play a faction, it's like a different game almost.
Yes.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, like at the start of your turn, get a free build at one of your space docks. I don't know. It's one piece of plastic. Whatever the fuck you want. I forgot that a lot. So
Yeah. I did not have. I had such a hard fucking time in that game doing anything because of the lack of resources for building my shit. But what I could build, and what I was able to do pretty soon, was I could build my flagship. And my flagship is, when it dies, every ship in that system also dies.
It nukes everything in space in that system.
In space, yes. And so there's an interesting thing that happens with that, is that when you park it next to an opponent's spot that has a shitload of ships on it, obviously he doesn't want me to go in there and then just send that one ship and then just kill everything.
Yes.
So you have to send ships out to kill that ship, so that it blows up and kills your ships.
Yes.
Right? But here's the thing, is that like I had I think a carrier with it and a couple fighters and stuff like that, and so it had this funny moment of like I could tell Paul doing the math in his head of like, how many ships can I send over there to make sure that Zach's ship dies?
Because everything's gonna die, but I want
gonna die.
I want as little as much to die.
As little as much, yes.
Exactly. I need to be as efficient as possible with my Suicide Squad.
Yep.
It's the Will Smith one, not the Idris Elba one.
The only problem with that fucking ship is it only moves one space, and
I could have made it move more.
I know. Oh god, that would have been nice. Also, I think that there's a way to help it with that, but it was definitely funny that I was like once I built the sling relay too, which lets you as an action just build a ship.
Yeah.
And it's like I had enough I had enough resources that I basically could have built that ship every round and then moved it one space onto Paul's shit to blow up any of his stuff. Like I could have done that, and had I had more resources, I could have built it with the sling relay, moved it, destroyed his shit, and then built it again. Like you can get pretty crazy with these guys with that flagship. And their agent abilities are a lot better than what they were previously.
And they're like completely different, right?
Yeah. The main one, so like your commander, that one, it's sort of funny. Like a lot of other people are, like the Titans, their commander is like you had to have like 4 PDSs out or some like you had to do a bunch of build things or hold a bunch of resources depending on the faction. My faction was literally, in order to unlock my commander, I just have to use a faction ability. I just have to use it once, and then he's available. So it's any other time it would have been stupid easy to be able to get that. But I didn't have the influence, which is how I do it for ground combat. So I had to send a I sent a destroyer, one destroyer versus one destroyer that Ryan had out, and I was just like, these both roll shitty. I just needed to last one round because at the end of each round, I can destroy a destroyer or a cruiser to produce one hit on an enemy. Like, I'm just basically suicide bombing, and and I will say that does work with direct hit, and I get to choose whatever I hit. So in an actual war like fight, that could be I could fucking target like war suns or flagships, that sort of stuff. But I was able to get that activated, and so I got my commander out, and his is it just gives you a green tech specialty, which is nice. But then I also, if I kill one infantry, I can build any tech that somebody has on the board, ignoring all prerequisites.
Yeah, that was probably pretty nice.
It was. The problem was that it was hard to get techs because I barely had any fucking resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in TI3, Yin Brotherhood was garbage.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say now they're worth playing. But, and I was talking with Paul about this afterwards, I think the next time we play, we should pick our area first and then we choose our factions, because I had either the turtles or the pirates, and the pirates I would have had a field day on that because of how much money I can take from people, and building ships at half price and shit like that. I would have not had any trouble with that. So it was the fact that my faction needed influence and I had none.
Yeah,
so I was just like, God damn it.
I got boned on objectives for sure.
Immediately.
Yeah,
because it was all about structures. On planets.
I think the first one that came out was okay because it was like, have more planets than your neighbors, and I had a zillion planets.
Mm-hmm. I will say that just like you and the structure thing, as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, this is not happening.
Yeah,
I can't get that one.
Yep.
So then fucking 2 structure ones came out for you later.
It was structures, and I was like, cool, my space docks don't count as structures. And then we had some agenda that was just like, get an additional like stage 1 or stage 2, and I was like, throw out a stage 2, and it was like, have 6 structures. Fuck you.
And with you having a really hard time with that, on the other hand, Paul, who was the Titans, they just crap out PDSs left and right
for just activations of systems, basically.
Yeah. And it was immediately just like, oh, well, that's going to be 3 points for him.
Yep. We used a website for kind of like strategy selections and turn timer as well. So, like, everyone's factions and stuff were up there. But it was basically just a glorified turn timer, and it told you, like, who had which strategy, and then which strategies were already used.
Yeah. Also, how long their time has been.
Yeah, it was kind of like a chess timer, so it kept track of everyone's turns. I do have a picture of that somewhere that I'm sure we can throw up on somewhere for everyone's total time. So we could kind of fast forward towards the end, and it was going to come down.
Well, I will just say, just speaking on the website itself, I thought it worked all right. My problem is that, one, you couldn't hit backspace, like you couldn't take back in action, and there were a lot of but until you found out you could just cancel a phase and restart that phase.
Yeah, like if you chose the wrong strategy card, or someone selected one and then was like, "Oh no, I need to go back," and
Yep. Or it was like during the actual phase itself, if they were like, I'm not going to do anything. Actually, you know what? And then like you hit, all right, next person. And then they're like, actually, you know what? I'm actually going to start this 10-minute long fight.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop it.
We did discover towards the end that if you just go like action and next turn, you can loop back around to that turn, and it doesn't matter.
Yes. It took us too long for us to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think it definitely helped in certain aspects But it was like I don't think you necessarily need it. It's not like it's not like the Gloomhaven one or Kingdom Death or anything that makes a big fucking change to it.
Yeah. But I do have to say your Omega stuff changes were significant, like your agent change alone, because that used to be after a player's destroyer or cruiser is destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
you can give them 2 fighters.
Oh yeah,
But now
yeah.
it's after a player's unit is destroyed, you can give them 2 fighters, or if it was a ground unit, give them 2 infantry.
Yep.
Which you used to great effect in multiple combats.
Yes. Yeah.
Where I was like, I lost a fighter, and 2
I'm
fighters appear.
Yeah. I actually used that at the end too, because I was reading at it just to make sure. If my ship destroys and I actually got a secret objective on this. I had to win a fight with somebody whose promissory note I held in my hand.
Uh-huh.
I luckily was able to steal a note from Paul the turn before,
Ah.
and so it was funny looking through the ones he had. I was like, okay, he had to give me one at random, or he was choosing it, and I was like, I know all the bullshit ones will not cause me to will not cause me to have to give that card back to him if I attack him.
Yeah.
And because that would have really sucked. But I was able to. I sent my single ship in. It destroyed everything, and then because a unit of mine was destroyed, 2 of my fighters just appeared, and I had advanced fighters, so they could even stay after they were dead.
Yeah.
Or after the battle was over, which was nice. But it was just funny just to be like to be able to get that fucking secret objective and do some bullshit like that, because it's just like if I just need to own an area, like space wise, I can make it happen, and I cannot be denied, because it's like it's as soon as that flagship is destroyed, everything blows up. It's not in combat. It's not, if any other reason. It's just if that shit takes damage and blows up, everything else does.
Yeah.
So,
Which is good.
Yeah. Also, my hero was pretty cool in that I basically just spawned 3 infantry from reinforcements into just any planet that's not a home planet.
Yep.
And it can be like 3 different planets or 2 in 1 or whatever, and then you just immediately go to ground combat.
And they don't have to be even like you could have used. Well, I guess you would have to have scored 3 objectives, so you can't use it immediately, or else you could just take any 3 planets on the fucking board.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I basically was just like, a lot of people who had a shitload of planets, some of them were left undefended, and so it was just like, I'm going to take this one and this one and this one, and I have planets for 1 turn.
Yeah, pretty much.
But if I really needed to take a single planet, doing 3 infantry, and then with my ability to turn other people's infantry into my own infantry or into mechs is real powerful. But once again, didn't have influence.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the old one was for each planet that contains any number of your infantry, either ready that planet or place an equal number of infantry from your reinforcements on that planet.
Yeah, that's pretty mediocre.
Pretty situational.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if I had 10 planets and you could just be like, oh, I have 10 infantry on them, I'm going to ready them up again. That's pretty nice, but that's not aggressive at all. That's very much just so this one is to
spawn a
be able to
bunch
take
of
some
infantry,
shit.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fast forward towards the end, it comes down to basically Wes or Paul for a fairly anticlimactic final strategy phase pick.
Yep.
Because Wes gets to choose first because he stole it, I guess.
No, so it was basically...
It was in the agenda phase before the strategy phase that the game was basically decided.
Yes. At that point, I forget what agenda came out, but it was...
Elect someone and they can choose to just take speaker, basically.
Yes. More or less. And it was, we can either choose Paul, and then Paul's going to win.
No, it was choose Wes.
No, that's what I was going to say. No, I was going to say is choose Paul and Paul wins, choose Wes and Wes wins, or choose anybody else and Paul wins.
Yes.
So as much as people like to say, "Oh, I don't like king making situations," it's like not making a decision is making a decision, right?
Yeah.
If I choose to do nothing, Paul's gonna win, and so I'm gonna try and make Wes win. Then.
Yeah. Well, and then once we chose strategy, and we basically just didn't play out we did one action, and then he scored with Imperial, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then that was it.
Yes, and the reason why it was going to be guaranteed that Paul was going to win is that the agenda card that flipped over was spend 6 tokens from your strategy pool or your tactic pool.
Yep.
And he had I think 5, and it would have been he would have had no, actually he had 6 at that time.
Yeah.
So even if he did nothing, he could have just passed and
he
had a bunch of planets,
passed.
so he could. And he could have gotten.
The only thing that would have kept him is if someone took over his home
nuked.
World.
Yeah, which wasn't going to happen.
No.
We tried a little bit, but it was just like, oh. And so Wes ended up winning.
With the new faction.
So yeah, I felt it was. I still had fun with the game, even though I was like, I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I do find it funny. We did play to 12 points instead of 10,
but
also not 14.
The website just lets you set whatever you wanted, I guess.
Yeah, and it still only took us 9-ish hours from when we actually started the game.
On the app was 8 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah. But total time, we got there at 9. We left at 8 because we had an hour for setup, and then 20 minutes for cleanup, and then an hour for lunch. So I'm it's good to see that the couple days I had of 13-hour Twilight Imperiums games aren't a thing anymore, which is nice because I feel 8 to 9 hours is the good sweet spot for it.
Yeah, it's certainly faster than it's ever been.
Yes.
I just sort of fumbled around, and I probably should have wiped someone out, but I always feel bad wiping someone out.
You should have wiped out Ryan.
Yeah, I could have easily.
You should have. Yeah, you should have.
But it's also cool. Well, you're out of the game, and we got about 6 hours left today.
Well, it's like I said, after lunch, because Ryan made chili for lunch.
Yes,
which was very good.
Yep.
It was just wait till after lunch, then we don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
So because anytime before that,
he go home.
Yeah.
I did take his homeworld. I guess I should have had one more point because I think I didn't score the take someone's homeworld or own a planet in someone's homeworld objective, and my homeworlds I don't even care about, and I was just yeah, whoever wants my fucking homeworlds, doesn't matter. I guess they still count for this objective.
Yep.
Yeah. Let my bullshit homeworlds that I don't even bother defending count for everyone else. So that would have been a tie with Thursby for 4th.
Right.
If I had remembered to score that one.
I was last, I believe. I think I had 4 points.
The Yin Brotherhood with 4 points.
Yep.
4, 3 people with 5, 7 and 8, and 11 and a 12. And I was going to score 3 more points, but we didn't get to that end of the round. We just called it. So.
Right.
But yeah, it was a generally good game of Twilight Imperium.
Mm-hmm. So what else have you been playing?
We went to our Tuesday. So we have some Tuesday game nights that are around, and
yes.
I went to the Crooked Stave one for the first time, and we played Drink the Beer.
Mm-hmm.
Be the only. Well, Lance was there, and then Paul.
Lance was there, and
Paul came with 2 friends.
So.
And so we played one of the new. Well, it's not the new one, but one of the board game tables, little 10-minute bullshit games called Sequoia. So you have a circle of cards that are numbered 2 through 12. Would you believe that 2 through 12 is also the numbers that you can add on 2 different dice? And so
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I am unable to. No.
So it is a dice placement a dice placement area
It's
control.
a
You're not really
dice-
placing the
yeah.
dice, but you're
No.
using the numbers
It's
on the
actually
dice to place an area control token on
Yes.
these 2 through 12s.
It's basically like dice drafting for
Yeah.
area control.
Yeah. So you roll 5 dice, you set one aside, and then you pair. Well, you pair 2 of them in any combination you so wish, and then set one aside. So you basically have 2 d6s that add up between 2 and 12. You all roll secretly and decide, reveal, and then you place your area.
It's two, and it's 2 sets of d6s.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you'll place 2 down each round.
Yep.
But on each of these locations is a randomly determined points score for first or second. And then you go through.
And I want to say
10
they were
rounds.
anywhere from it was 2 to 6 points for the first place,
Yep.
and 1 or 2 points
Yeah.
for second place. So
And then you do 10 rounds because you have 20 tokens, and you'll place 2 per round. So you do the 10 rounds, and then you score. And whoever is in first place gets the first place token. Whoever's in second gets the second place token. But where the game gets interesting is on ties. So you score everything that's not tied. You remove anything that is tied for first. You remove everyone that is not tied for first. And then anyone that's ties for second, you remove anyone that's not tied for second, because first has already claimed the first place token.
Yep.
And then you play Sudden Death Sequoia, which is you just play rounds, and you can only place on the ones that you're tied for, but whoever scores first breaks the tie, because you score immediately after each round. And
Yep.
And then
so if we both had 8 and 9 that we were tied on, and I placed on 8, and you couldn't place on either one of them, I would immediately get 8, but then 9 would still be out.
Yep, and then we would just keep playing. The scores were it was a brutal loss by myself with Lance
Got
Zach
destroyed
at 19 points, and you tie for first, and it's friendly ties, so both of you win. And I got a lowly 18 and lost. The only loser.
Real fucking rookie. Play there.
Yeah, 19, 19, 18 scores of that, with me being the only loser.
Yep.
And
it can play up to so it plays 2 to 5.
Yeah.
We played with 3 players, and I
Yes.
would be very interested to see how this was with 5 people.
Yeah, and it's like 10, 15 minutes at most. It was just neat. Way better than GPS. Which is
I think for me it was the sudden death at the end that like really put it over to something that was interesting.
Yeah,
because like just trying to choose stuff, you're like like I got an early lead on 12 because I just had like a bunch of 6s, and I was like, okay, well, there's like people aren't gonna fucking try and get this one, so I can try and focus on other ones, which will be nice. But it was interesting. I liked it.
Yeah.
Especially for how short it would be.
Yeah. Also at the end, the last one that was tied was the 2,
Yes.
and it was between you and Lance. So you just rolled all 5 of your dice in front of each other, and it was basically whoever got Snake Eyes first.
Yep.
And I think
whoever
you went,
got more
5
Snake Eyes
fucking
than the
rounds
other.
without Snake Eyes.
It was. Yes, that is correct.
I guess if you rolled 4 ones, you would have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if we had both rolled 2 1s, then it would have tied.
Yes.
So it's
But it didn't matter because it took forever for one of you to even roll 1.
very true.
Yeah. But I guess I don't remember who won that last roll off.
Lance did.
Gotcha. So if he didn't win that,
If he didn't win that, I would have won straight up.
yep. And then maybe he
Yep.
would have been tied with me, and we could have both been tied.
No, he would have been. He would have been. It wasn't worth 1 point. It was for the whole kit. It was like.
Oh, it was
I think-
first place.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I would have gotten second then.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. Fuck you,
it.
Lance.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's all I've played.
Gotcha. I've got 2 other games. Real quick, I played Arkham Horror on Sunday. It was one of the new. It was from the newest expansion. One of the scenarios that was like called "The Dead Cry Out," and so for this one, you had 6 tiles, forming Arkham in a circle, and then in the center of it, you had the underworld. which there was a portal at the bottom of the map that you could go get into the underworld that way. But then there's also a hidden path, which is it's like a Y-shaped cardboard piece that actually connects the corners of 3 of the different neighborhoods. But then every time you drew a blank Mythos token, the hidden path moved to the next corner. So it was like, and if you were on that hidden path, you would move as well.
I see.
So, so being able to access the underworld would change depending on how long into the game it was, and then also, you could be trying to use the hidden path to get to a bunch of, horror, threat, doom. That's what. Sorry. So many fucking games have so many different things to call it.
Did you have to remember how many actions you get per turn, and if that involves a free movement or not?
It was can we move? Can we do stuff in between move? Like, can I move one space, do something, and then there's like, no, you can't do that. Shit, that's right. Yeah. It is funny how different all of them are.
Yes.
But they're all just close enough that you're just always are misremembering.
Yep. And they're all Fantasy Flight.
All Fantasy Flight, because of course. But then I was on the hidden path in one spot because I was trying to get to the neighborhood that had like three doom spaces with like three doom spaces. Each of the spaces in the neighborhood had 3 doom on it, and I was trying to get there to start clearing it out. And then I got stuck on the hidden path, and then 2 blank tokens got picked. And so it moved me halfway across the map, and I was like, God damn it.
Great.
But I had to do it because if the hidden path moved and I wasn't on it, then it was going to be real hard to get out of the underworld. Because the hidden path, the other portal, and the underworld token, or the underworld neighborhood, they each had different requirements for moving through them. And what that means is, if I move one step into, like, if I cross a line that has like a sanity on it, if I stop moving, that's fine. But if I want to keep moving, so like take a second step or a third or a fourth, depending if I have enough money, then I have to pay that sanity cost, or pay that health cost, or pay that lose a focus cost. So it was like, you wanted to like end your turn in there. You didn't want to just like run through there because it was gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool. We had some more interesting mechanics in this one. Specifically, at one point we were looking for something, and it was like, choose one of 3 cards and then put that on the neighborhood. And then when you go to the neighborhood and you encounter that card, there's a chance that it's like, all right, well, now you know the thing you're looking for is not where you're at. Put that card back on top of the deck and go find it somewhere else.
Yep.
God damn it.
Thanks, game.
Yeah. It was funny how many. So Wes, we were playing with 3 people: Paul, Wes, and I. Wes had so many ways to re-roll dice that he just kept getting from allies. So this one was also the heaviest allied game scenario I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like, they just, every reckoning, an ally just spawns on the map, and you get it. You get it.
Okay.
Yeah. You just have to go over there to spend an action to grab them, and you just get an ally. So each of us had like 3 or 4 allies on us.
That's a lot.
Now there are ways that it would fuck us over if we had too many allies. But it was good for soaking up damage, or soaking up sanity, or any of that, or their abilities. Paul and Paul was also Charles, the politician, and so he was also able to get a shitload of allies, like, just as an action.
Cool.
So that was nice to get a bunch of different abilities. I found a Raven, which I could basically tell it to harass somebody, and at the start of my turn, if I put a damage on the Raven, then I could just exhaust a monster in my square, or not my square, but in my neighborhood. And that worked out really well because there was a giant fucking tunneler that would, if I was in that neighborhood, do 2 damage to me just as a lurker action in the monster phase. So
wow,
it was like, it helped me prevent a lot of damage, which was real nice.
That sounds like a Good combo.
Yes. We ended up winning at the end, which was good. And we had the shotgun, so it was real easy to just be like, oh, a big threat comes out, fucking shoot him right in the face. Another threat comes out, shoot him right in the face. um, but yeah, that was fun. Paul also made really good meatball subs, so you missed out.
Yeah,
Jeff.
being sick.
Way to be fucking
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. Fuck me.
Like a douchebag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
idiot.
And then the last game that I've played that I want to talk about was how I played at Strange. Wes, Megan, and Adrian were starting up a game of Hallertau. Is that the newest game from Uwe?
I don't remember if it's
Uwe?
Hallertau or Noosefjord.
Okay. Well, I played that one for the first time, and I have to say I actually like it. It's one thing I like about it is that it's another like farming game, but it plays a lot differently than the other ones do. Because like Caverna and Agricola, there's like 80% the same game there.
Yeah.
There's obviously like bigger differences, like the buildings and
Hallertau
the occupation.
is 2020.
Yeah, okay. So it's Noosefjord.
Yeah, Rakeholt.
Yeah, okay. That's
and
what it is.
Noosefjord
Okay.
was before Rakeholt, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then he's had 3 games since then that are out on top of that. So.
Gotcha. But the main thrust of this game is that each round, like you have one I'm going to say it has a shit ton of cardboard that's in front of each person. Like you have this giant track to that shows like your points and also has different
you have like 3
track.
player boards per person,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yes. Like one is a turn track that's also where your sheep go. One is like this little jewelry box that can hold jewelry in it, which is basically wild goods. There is your main board that is like long and skinny, but it has a building on it that is like tracking how many workers you have. And the main thrust of the game is on the right side of that house are 5 tokens, or not tokens. They're like 5 little building things that you have to spend resources to push them to the right, and as you uncover you completely uncover rows, you move that big house to the right, and that's going to get you more workers and then also more points once you like unlock all of the workers. Everybody like shares workers in a sense. Workers are just a resource in that way. Say you get like 8 at the start of your turn, there's a giant center board that has like a spot with 1, a spot with 2, and a spot with 3. And you can go to a spot, but you then just pay whatever the lowest cost is. So it would be 1 worker if you're the first person to go there, 2 workers if you were the next person, and then 3 workers after that. And then at the end of each round, you only remove the top row of workers. So if you went 3 deep on that one, then you would only remove that 3rd level, and so there'd only be 1 space for it next round. It doesn't have so you know how like in Agricola and Caverna, when you plant crops, it's like you spend 1 and then you get like 1 a turn, and it's all about like the repeatable income from that. So this one is, say I have 1 hops. If I have an open field that's at 5, because one of your boards is also your warehouse, but then also where your fields are.
It's like north to south, right?
Yeah. If there's an open field at 5, you plant the hops at 5. At the end of the round, those are going to harvest, and then you have 5 hops now.
Yeah.
So, but you also, if you just did it at 2, they would also harvest, and you'd only have 2. So you can't just plant them in there and wait for them to grow more. It's all about moving the fields into right positions, because any that are empty at the end of the round move up 1, and then you choose an additional 1 to move. But then any that are harvested they get harvested and then they move down. So you can't just keep planting them on there. So you want to have like multiple fields that you're planting on some of them, other ones you're growing up. And there are ways to move them around from action cards. like the cards you get in the game or certain action spots, but
Just waiting
it's
for
a
your
lot
fields to
of
mature.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I have to say, like I said, I actually did like this one a lot. The biggest thing I like about it is that it has a shit ton of card play
Yeah.
because you get there's four different piles you can draw from. You get some like beginner cards. You have some bonus cards. You have like these farming cards, and then you have end game cards. The end game cards are just spending resources for points. The farming cards are usually spending a thing depending on which deck you grab.
Hmm.
And like the one we played was the jewelry deck, so it was spending jewelry and you get these bonuses. It was either usually some sort of resource.
Yeah.
And then there are the bonus deck, which once you meet whatever its requirement is, you can play the card in front of you, and then every time you get to the bonus, the phase 3, all of your bonus cards activate, and so it's like that's where I was getting a free sheep or free milk,
Okay.
or I was getting like that's about like that's getting that repeatable long term income, or like letting you draw cards, that sort of shit. And then the other one was it's just sort of a grab bag of things, but a lot of the cards let you draw other cards when you complete them,
Hmm.
and so it was a lot of like I get to play this, which gets me like, oh, I know I have 11, which lets me activate this card, and then I get to draw cards. Oh, I have one jewelry. This one card lets me spend that jewelry and draw 4 cards, sort of shit. Uh, it was now Megan did not have the best game on this. Like she didn't have the best time. Uh,
Yeah.
I think she misunderstood or was playing something wrong in the very beginning that we didn't realize, and so she uh, hurt herself in the long run. But she also played like maybe 2 or 3 cards in the entire
Mm.
game. I want to say that I played, in my heart, I want to say 40 cards.
Heart of the cards.
Yeah, heart of the cards. I want to say I played like 30 to 40 cards.
Okay.
And boy, howdy, did you see that start to show up when I was counting the points at the end of the game. I had the scorecard in front of me, and like Megan, like I did mine first, and I was like, oh, okay, I got all these points. And I was like, okay, I think it did pretty good. And I remembered like Adrian saying like the last time he played, he had like 102 or 103 points, something like that.
Yeah.
And so Wes was tallying his up, and he ended up with like 93 or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember I heard him say that, and I was just like, oh no. Uh, and Megan got like fifth. I want to say she got like 53. Maybe it was like 60 points, somewhere around there. Adrian got like 108. No, actually, no, he got 105. No, 106 because his previous best was 105, I think. And so then I was like, okay. And then Zach got 138.
Oh.
Ended up scoring 50 points from cards alone, because a lot of those bonus cards were you also had points for playing them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I got super lucky in a lot of stuff early on, especially getting that card that let me draw a bunch of cards. But the fact I was just like I crushed it, and I'll tell you, fucking demolishing everybody in the game will really make you like a game.
That's one way to do it.
Yep. But I definitely would play it again. We were playing on the like advanced cards, and I think Adrian said that there were expert ones, so there was like a little like a step up. They are a lot more specific on the type of on what you have to do get certain cards. So like some of the cards are like fairly generic of like just have 2 hops and then you get this, right? But then other ones it's like at the I had to have a time when I had no fields on rows 2, 3, or 4, and so that basically meant that I had to have all of my fields on row 5 that I was able to do, and that got me a bunch of points.
Hmm.
Uh, and there are a lot of specific things I saw in the master one. So I'm curious, or expert, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something worth playing. I feel like it could probably work for stream. I don't know. It would be, like I said, there's a lot of cardboard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to see what's going on, but
I don't
it's
remember if I
definitely
own
fun.
Hallertau. I know I
I
have
would
Newsfjord, but I don't
Yeah.
remember if I have Reykholt or Hallertau. I don't remember.
Well, I definitely recommend trying this one out because
Yeah.
I like that it's you could see that it was one of his games, but it felt different.
Better.
So just like in that same way, like for me, Feast of Odin is like I like if I'm gonna play one of his games, it would be right now top three would be Feast of Odin, Patchwork, and then probably this.
Yeah.
So
Well, Feast Road with Norwegians. Let's be fair.
obviously yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which took
Uh,
a while to come out, I think.
Yes, it did. Yeah. And I have a
2
copy
years?
for Adrian. That sounds about right.
Yeah. 2016 and 2018 for the expansion.
Sounds good. But I think that's it for games for me.
I ain't got
or at least
nothing.
anything I feel like talking about. All right, so we can just move on into banter then. I think.
Yes.
You got sick,
Yes.
so good job.
It was great. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's been super.
I'm trying to think of what's happened in the last couple of weeks.
Well-
House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
I
House
still
of
am
Dragons
liking
out. Yep.
Rick and Morty episodes have been real good too.
While I was sick all weekend, I watched the entirety of the rehearsal.
Oh, finally somebody else watched it. Okay. Well, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Question:
Yes.
Had you seen any? Okay, you had seen Nathan for You.
I had seen the first episode of Nathan for You.
Okay, so you at least had an idea.
I
of
know who he
what
is.
Yes.
Yes.
And also the style of show that
Yes.
he brings.
Yes.
Obviously, this is different than that, but you understand who Nathan Fielder is as a person.
Nathan Fielder as a person is Hitler if he was allowed to be an artist.
I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite comment I read. It was like,
Yeah.
if Hitler was only an artist, he'd be Nathan Fielder.
Mhm. He never developed that hate for people. He
Yes.
just
Yes.
went fucking crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you think of the show?
I liked episode 1. I liked the pilot a lot, which was the first episode, because that was the most contained. And also the most fucking batshit ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. So if you don't know what the rehearsal is, it's Nathan Fielder put an ad out on Craigslist for people to train on how to give bad news or difficult news to someone, but to help them, he rehearses that conversation.
Every
permutation.
Yeah.
So much so that he rebuilds the bar that this person is going to have that conversation in a 1-to-1 scale, size, furniture, decorations, bartender, random people sitting in the actors he pays to just sit around and be bar patrons while they go through literally every permutation.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hires people to be those people for him to talk to them about rehearsing that thing.
Yes.
So the guy wants to, tell someone that he never got his master's degree, but he hires someone that looks like him to act like him so he can have conversations with that person, but rehearse also those conversations.
Yeah, to be like, he'll make a joke and then see if it actually works or not.
Yeah.
And then later on, you'll see him actually say that joke and work, and then he'll be like you know the premise of the show going in, but then as soon as...
And you have no idea what.
Yeah, you have no idea how fucking weird it goes.
And then there's 5 more episodes
that are
insane.
So insane.
Yes.
I will say it does give me the first episode does have one of my favorite lines, just I think in TV in general, and it's just it's days like these that I curse the Chinese for inventing gunpowder.
because he's going to be giving this conversation at a trivia night, and the guy is so invested in trivia that he wants him not to be distracted, but he also doesn't want to cheat. And so they like literally walk down the street that he's hired actors to just casually, because he got all the answers ahead of time,
Yeah.
just talk about things, and they come across a fucking crime scene, and it's a cop talking about someone was murdered, and how he wishes days like these are days he wishes the Chinese never invented gunpowder.
Yep.
There's always a documentary crew around, but the person being documented never knows that like almost everyone he's around with or interacting with is an actor.
And I would just say this, so like the first episode is about that one. The second episode is about, let me help this woman wants to figure out if she wants to be a mother. So we'll do a fast track of like a kid, 1 through 18.
Yep.
Over like a 6-month period.
Yep.
And like it starts to go
Age
into
them up
all the
3 years every couple weeks.
Yeah. And like it goes
but also
into
they're children actors
of child actors and
and they can't work after 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, and it goes very crazy from there. I don't really want to let people discover that.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. Look, it's 100, man. Fucking rob.
88.
88.
God damn it.
Yep. But that scene also had, or that episode had one of my
squash it, bro.
Just all-time shot. Yeah.
Squash it.
Fucking squash it. His fucking roommate. No, of like she. I think the woman is like getting groceries or something like that, and like she has the baby in a baby carrier, whatever those things are called.
Yes.
And like after the 4 hour, like after you said it was like it's like 3 or 4 hours, they can only work so long, and then they can't work after 7:30 p.m. Yeah. And so it was like the time to switch it, and so like a guy just runs up and like just switches the kids,
swaps out the kid
with them.
Yeah. Or whenever they have to just age them up, they just swap it out. Like they go to sleep one day with a kid, and then they wake up the next day with a completely older kid.
Yep. But then it goes to weird ass fucking directions. So what did you think of the season overall?
I did not know what to expect, and it just kept getting weirder and weirder.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It's like I was trying to describe it to Adrian it's cringe. I mean, it's like
cringe
sort
humor,
of like
100%.
Cringe, but in such a different way than normal that you're just like, I can't stop watching.
No.
But what the fuck? He has such a talent for just finding people.
Oh, and like not to go too much into it, but like when they get in the car towards like in the last episode, and he was like, "You think you got it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Right? Yes. Yep. God damn it, man.
Anyways, that's what I did on my Saturday.
I'm glad that somebody else watched that.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that and then just being like, and I tried, like, I mentioned it once or twice on the Slack, and just nobody said anything, and I'm like, I have nobody to talk to about this show. What the fuck is going on?
One of my coworkers had mentioned it last week, and I was like, oh, I should watch that. That's kind of been on my radar. And then I was like sick, and I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here at my computer and play video games and watch fucking The Rehersal. I played a bunch of games that I've been meaning to play that are like small little bullshit games I've had installed forever, just to kind of like knock some shit out.
Yeah.
So I played Space Haven, which is kind of like a little space, I don't know, kind of like, Oxygen Not Included, but it's like a space station where you don't have real direct control over the characters, but you're trying to like collect resources, etc. And I was like, eh. And I played Heat Signature, which is from the same guy that made Gunpoint.
Oh,
okay.
I remember that game.
Yeah, where you're like jumping through windows and shit. But this one you're like trying to like dock and with ships in space and board and like kill everyone on board and assassinate people. And that was and then I played The Wandering Village, which was actually it's pretty early on, but it's kind of like another one of those sim games, but you're on the back of a giant beast, and that's where all of your land is, because anywhere close to the ground is all poisonous mushrooms and stuff now. But this
Mm-hmm.
wandering beast you're building this civilization on the back of, and you can, like, tap into its blood and, like, use the beast as, like, resources from its, like, gallbladder, or but then you can, like, inject it with, like, energy drinks and shit and make it go faster or go to sleep if you want to stop somewhere and scavenge. That was neat. And then I played a fuckload of Kill It With Fire, which is kind of almost like one of those, like, simulation games, like Power Washing Simulator or Lawn Mowing Simulator. It's kind of that aspect, but it's about killing spiders with more and more insane, like, weapons. The spiders never hurt you in this game. You're invulnerable. They're just scary. They're not going to hurt you, but you have to, like, sooner or later you just get, like a hairspray can with a lighter, and everything bursts into flames. And then you get, like, a weed whacker, and then you get, like, a fucking lawnmower. You get drones with explosives. Yeah, I played that for about 7 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's, like, an upgrade path and shit where you get a scanner. It's kind of like the from Ghostbusters, except it finds spiders.
Okay.
Inevitably, you get a laser attached to it, so then you can sort of zap spiders as much as you want. Yeah. I had a solid 7-hour playtime with that very stupid game. Yeah. Played a lot of Hearthstone. Still going on that one. Yeah. I think that's about all I've done. Besides be sick.
Right. I don't think I have much. I have much else. Nope.
There's a bunch of brewery anniversaries this weekend that I missed because I was sick. D-Bolt's 9th anniversary and Denver Beer Co.'s 11th anniversary, which I was planning on going to this weekend and did not.
No, that's a bummer.
Because I was sick. Wasn't
Right.
COVID, just sick. COVID negative. Very exciting. Yeah, I'm sure I'll remember something.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, let's move over to some news.
First up in news, Fuse, after getting its, Fuse 2, the medical...
Flatline?
Fuse ER,
Yep.
is getting its own original, like, standalone expansion? Fuse 2? Fuse 1.5?
Fuse Countdown.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be $35, coming from Renegade. You get a little bit more of the, like, sci-fi theme off this box, where it's a bunch of people in spacesuits trying to defuse Future Bomb.
Yes.
But it's going to be adding multicolored dice that can fulfill either color, because, of course, in Fuse, you are real-time dice assigning to clear objective cards.
Yeah.
And then when you clear all the objectives, you win. They have spark cards, so if you can't place a die, instead of rolling it and removing a related die, you draw a spark card. It's like a mini-bomb for you to fulfill. You cannot win the game unless all active spark cards are resolved. So it's kind of like a mulligan that you personally get a mini game to deal with.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I think I like that, just because it was removing, like, there are some dice that were, I remember, especially on the harder cards, that it was like, I need this yellow 6 that's on here, and that's the only thing that can fit this one, and then having to end up removing it because you couldn't place something else, like, really sucked.
Yep.
So it's good to see. And I would much rather be like, oh, okay, you can keep that, but you have to fulfill this other thing real quick. I would much rather do that. So
yeah. There'll be personal player powers being added, so rolls, and then new bomb cards, of course, that will use all of the new stuff being added in the game. So there's going to be some text-based ability. Example, all players roll a die as fast as they can until each player has rolled a 6. So
I would hate to be that last person not rolling a 6.
It's
You're
gonna
like,
be
God
me.
damn it, roll.
Yep.
I do. This is definitely like one of my favorite cooperative real-time games.
And we
And
played a
so
ton of it when it came out, and then it
Yep.
sort of has ceased these days. But
It ceased. Flatline came out because they're like, oh, it's a bigger game. But then honestly, I felt like, to an extent, like King of New York, where you're like, it's a deeper game, but it lost that spark
yeah,
of the simpler game.
and they call Flatline a re-implementation of Fuse, which it is kind of, but still doesn't feel like that. But Fuse was 2015, Flatline was 2017. Apparently, Pandemic Rapid Response, which was that Target exclusive DICE one, is also a re-implementation of Fuse.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I own that. I got it on clearance at Target for like $7.99. Guess we'll have to try it.
Guess we will.
Yeah, with more Fuse coming soon. Last up on news, Pandemic is turning into Monopoly.
Whatever could you mean by that?
Announcing Star Wars: The Clone Wars, a new board game from Z-Man Games and Asmodee. But little would you know that this Star Wars: The Clone Wars is a Pandemic system game. So basically, Pandemic, Star Wars, The Clone Wars. This is more of the cartoon, I guess? Clone Wars?
Yeah, like they're Ahsoka's there.
Certainly not movie based, because all of these cards and stuff are from characters that were made famous by the cartoon.
Right.
So this also, it looks to be another evolution of the Pandemic World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King. So this looks like you will not be collecting sets of cards to cure droids, cure the separatists. There will be like droids, and it looks like the droid controller capital ship is kind of your big guy. In Wrath of the Lich King, it was ghouls and abominations. When like there was an outbreak of ghouls, a abomination would appear. This could very well be when there's an outbreak of droids, a droid controller ship appears, which I can only assume spawns more droids. But on top of that, there will be villains, where Wrath of the Lich King had, of course, the Lich King as the villain. This one seems, and he would only appear in like, the map was separated into 3 spots, and he would only just kind of appear in a spot at a time and make that area worse. It looks like the villains will be another miniature on the board, like all of your character miniatures will be, and they will be moving around the board and have various powers, and they have like they have a power meter that raises and lowers. I can't really read what Maul's. I bet if I scroll down to where Maul was,
Probably.
Maul has 5 power, advanced threat, and set his power to 0. When Maul's removed, he loses 3 power. So you're basically fighting that villain over and over. And it seems like you'll have your variability will be different villains. It'll be Grievous, General Grievous, Darth Maul, Zentris, which was kind of like Dooku's, I don't know, Padawan, whatever the Sith dude. But she was introduced in the original like Samurai Jack guy Clone Wars cartoon, and she made her way over into the actual like Mandalorian Filoni Clone Wars as well. Which was cool. The villain's going to have their own like villain deck with a villain discard. There's the invasion deck, which is probably just going to be your infection deck. You'll have various missions, which look like you need to discard those action cards like Wrath of the Lich King, where you'll have certain characters that give you abilities, but they're also just attack or move or defense when you discard them. Wild, I think, is another one.
Gotcha.
It moves to a D12 instead of the 2D6s that I think Wrath of the Lich King used.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's... I'm trying to look. I see one with just 1 spot. I see one with 2, and then 2 that are like 3, and then a star. Yeah. So I wonder what the distribution is on those.
Yeah, because it was attack, defense, or wild, right?
Sure, yeah.
In Wrath of the Lich King, whatever it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But yeah, it's going to be another one of those less pandemic, but more whatever this system that he crafted for Wrath of the Lich King is.
I mean, it seems like it might be a little better polished than that one was.
Yeah, the next evolution.
Yeah, but well, I definitely agree that it's a try before you buy.
Yeah.
Unless you just really like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which some people definitely do.
Yes. Yeah. Another pandemic coming down the line.
Yep. So that's it for news, right?
That is it for news. I was gonna see if there was a price. $59.99 on that guy. $60. Pre-order now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dooku. There's gonna be 7 different character heroes, and then 4 different villains. Ahsoka's in there, so if anyone's a fan of Ahsoka, can just have at it. Which moves us on into the world of crowdfunding.
Ooh.
Because there's 4 crowdfunding platforms now. We've got Kickstarter, GameFound, BackerKit, and there's one more.
I mean, there was an Indiegogo from way back when. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Anyways. First up is gonna be Keyforge. This one
that's that game.
Hey, it's that game.
It's that game from Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, yep. Fantasy Flight's hidden game found. No. Keyforge, Winds of Exchange of money. Extremely well funded, $687,000 of its $50,000 goal, over 3,600 backers. Less than a week to go on this one. Your pledge is anywhere between $50 and $750, but its most popular pledge being $150 for the 2 playmats, 12 decks, a personalized with your name on it deck, and a personalized with your name on it playmat for $150. But it looks like Keyforge.
You know what? It does.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that same art. It looks. I mean, those cards look like those same cards that I have. So.
So this is coming from Ghost Galaxy, which is the
Christian Peterson.
Christian Peterson, original founder of Fantasy Flight, founded Ghost Galaxy and acquired Keyforge in June of 2022, and is now re-releasing it. Famously, Fantasy Flight's original randomization algorithm got corrupted or ransomwared. I had also heard rumors of
it got broken basically.
Yeah,
and then they didn't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah, rebuild that system. So they bought it and are just gonna continue on making Keyforge. It seems like it's completely compatible with everything else. It's more Keyforge.
It is more.
They mostly spend a lot of this GameFound crowdfunding just explaining what Keyforge is. There's the different factions. All of the decks are randomized. I don't believe the cards themselves are randomized, I think the cards might actually be randomized vaguely, because I vaguely remember like more powerful versions of the exact same card at one point or another.
Yeah.
And certain decks, but the entire deck is randomized. There is no deck construction. Basically, you buy the deck and you play the deck. They had to take out a bunch of possibly racist names when it originally launched. Or at least very local specific names were bad. Shipping, of course, is $12 to hundreds of dollars depending on where you live in the world. Low end of mid-teens to 20s to if you're getting that $750 pledge in New Zealand for $133. Yeah, not ideal for shipping, as is tradition. But if you want Keyforge, it's just going to be the way to do it. Seems like it'll get a wide platform for release and retail. On top of that, there is a retail pledge. One of the cool things that GameFound is doing nowadays that people can opt into is the stable pledge thing, which is the creator guarantees a full refund to backers if there's any change in price estimates after the campaign's end bigger than 10%. So if you end up having to pay, let's say, an extra $60 for shipping to get your game, or you're not going to get your game, and that is over a certain percentage of difference, you can be granted a 100% refund made within 2 weeks of the change's announcement. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's nice. One thing I was going to say on this one, and I was looking at that $750 pledge. So one, it's 72, amongst everything else, it's 72 packs of just like fucking 72 decks. So it's like, you better find something good in that.
Yeah.
But it also comes with one set.
Yes.
It's the Winds of Exchange collector set. So you can just get every card that is in that entire pool. Now, you can't use them in the tournament because then that sort of negates this whole concept of this game, but it still gives you everything to be like, if you want to try like fuck around with some stuff.
Yeah.
That's there.
And
you
you
go.
can get that collector set for $60 as an add-on to any other pledge.
Nice.
It's over 350 cards. It's literally every card in the set, which is neat. Because you could then technically recreate some of those like top tier random decks just to kind of fuck around and play with it. Be like, oh yeah, this is super broken. Cool. I'm glad someone randomly got that for themselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's nice that that's at least exists again because it seemed fairly popular. When it
I remember playing
released.
it and I enjoyed it enough, but then I was also like, I mean, I liked the fact that I just had a deck.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about building anything, but it still was a like, but maybe I want to buy a new deck, and then I was just like, oh no, this is not going to end well.
My rent money.
My wallet, it's broken. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Keyforge. Last up in crowdfunding is this game on Kickstarter, which is Sagrada Artisans, which we'll get into it. It's $131,000 of its $75,000 goal. About 1,500 backers. About a week left to pledge this one at its most popular pledge level of $75. Why would you pay $75 for Sagrada? Because it's Sagrada Legacy.
Sagrada Legacy?
Yes. Sagrada Artisans is a legacy game. 2 to 4 players, about an hour per session.
When I was playing Sagrada, I was always like, this needs to have a campaign.
So, it is Sagrada the roll and write, but it's more of a roll and fill. So there is no more dice placement on your stained glass window because it doesn't have the fancy boards or anything like that. You each get a book, a player journal that you then fill in throughout the campaign. Basically, each book is sort of its own victory points and tools that you can remember from Sagrada. And then there will be a center board that is like a cathedral board that has the 5 colors and then 1 through 6. When you roll the dice, that pool gets put onto that cathedral so you can see what all of the different colors and numbers are, and then you are seem to be drafting those colors and putting them, and then sketching that color and number into your book. It comes with colored pencils. Kickstarter comes with 4 sets. If you don't get the Kickstarter, you're only getting 1 set.
Like a rube?
Yep. They don't go too deep into like the theme of the campaign, but it is basically
like generational.
Yeah, you're each building a cathedral, so you're each building your own cathedral's stained glass windows.
Gotcha.
But each of your books will have multiple windows over the generations. Your tools and objectives and stuff carry over in some fashion over the generations as you go through, because you get new tools and abilities that carry forward. It seems like you have certain cards that you're getting, actually like physical versions of. There are little deck boxes with story decks. There are, of course, envelopes and stickers, and how do they describe them here? 15 envelopes with dozens of cards and 100+ stickers. Unlockable crates that add more like materials into the game. I assume new dice types or something like that. It seems like there's a legacy point system, kind of like Charterstone, where you're getting points at the end of each game. This one has basically look. They don't go into it too much, but on the back of the cathedral board, there's a sheet that has a whole bunch of what looks like points trackers or whatever. You can also add on a $250 dice tower that looks very very nice, but maybe not $250 nice. But that you can get for $350. You can get that whole thing. $130 gets you a campaign reset kit, and then an additional window pattern booster pack. The booster pack, they only kind of show a little bit of it. It's
they mentioned it a little bit higher up too. That it looks like it's for helping.
Yeah, adds another pack of windows to another more patterns.
You can replay the campaign windows.
Yeah.
Or swap in new players from outside your campaign group, playable during or after the campaign.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sort of just 10-round campaign. Twists and challenges as things move along. It seems like you're going to be filling in cards for tools, maybe like per use kind of stuff. They do give an example of the first story card window and end of game market. Takes place in 1882. Yeah.
I do like that. It seems the thing I like, right, is that each of the windows, like it's going through some of them, they look a lot. They don't look like the same.
Yeah,
which is cool. Like they have a bunch of different shapes to them.
Yeah,
which is pretty interesting.
Which seems weird, but
it's not just squares. Like one here is like this giant. It actually looks like a stained glass, and so it has like a sun piece, but it's touching like 5 different things versus a lot of the other ones are just touching 2 to 4 depending on where it's at. So
yeah, one seems more of your like weird random shape kind of stained glass. But of course, this one won't be hitting until Gen Con next year. It looks like is going to be their release goal, and a retail release of October next year as well. So Q3 2023. It seems neat, kind of pricey, $75. But
so I know some people really like Sagrada.
Yeah,
I would say if you really like Sagrada, maybe it's something worth checking out.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how much the base game is, like $40. So
that's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
that's it.
All right, that's it for crowdfunding. On to some listener feedback. Jeff, do we have any emails?
No.
Okay. I didn't see any.
I didn't see any either. So.
Okay.
And I can't log into the. Cause I've forgotten Banter. I got a new phone today. I got that new iPhone. Because I got it for free through my cell phone plan.
Yeah.
Because I just got a phone fucking 2 years ago, and I was like, I was like, well, if it's nothing, I may as well get it. But I got logged out of all my emails, and haven't logged back in yet.
Who needs them? Especially like your work ones. You don't need those at all.
I did log back into the work one, because I remember the password for that. So.
That's good.
Because I log into it every day.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So we do have a YouTube comment from, once again, our by far biggest YouTube video.
Yeah.
Us playing a Game of Thrones. I guess somewhere on there we mentioned that it's 1080p, and this person, Gabby, says 1080p, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation. This is at best standard definition. Now,
that is correct.
They're not wrong. It was filmed with HD cameras, but then the bitrate was so low that you couldn't see shit.
Yes, because he had it at like 480 bitrate instead of like 4800 or 44 instead of that's got 15,000 views. So
which is great. That's the one that does.
Yay!
Yay. But that's it for YouTube. And in fact, we actually do have one more piece of listener feedback, Jeff.
Yes.
Over at our guild on BoardGameGeek.com.
Oh my God! What?
Guild number 2731. From episode 112, now boarding.
Oh boy. Okay.
This is from Woo Game. They messaged us 2 days ago.
Wow.
And note, this one was posted on September 23rd, 2018, almost 5 years ago.
5 years to the day, almost.
5 years to the day, and you see, as soon as you post on there, we're gonna make a comment on the episode. So
that's how much of a hawk we are for our.
Yes, exactly. Hey there, thank you for this. I do have one question regarding the flight real-time phase. During this phase, are players allowed to execute moves, then wait for others to finish their moves before finishing the rest of their plan? Question mark. Now, Jeff, when's the last time that you've played Now Boarding?
Maybe late 2018.
Was it like around September? I'm assuming.
No, no. It was it was in the winter time for sure.
Okay. All right. So you played it once or twice more after we reviewed it, but then that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe a game night came out at one point or another.
Gotcha. I did play it. Actually, we played it at the most recent Cabin Con.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. And to answer their question, at the very least, how we have always played it is that during the real-time phase, people, you can move 2 spaces, pick up somebody, or drop somebody off, and then keep moving. And then if you are waiting at that airport for that person, like for that passenger, you could then pick them up and then take the rest of your turn. All that matters was that you had to be done with your entire turn before the clock ran out, basically the timer. Yes. But you can wait. You can wait for other people to do. It's real time, so you can just do half your turn and then wait for the rest of it. A lot of our stuff was, all right, I'm gonna go here, drop this person off. You're gonna pick them up, take them over to here, drop them off. That person's gonna go grab them and move elsewhere.
Yep.
So, I feel like that's a big part of that game.
Yeah.
Still a great game.
And your movement limitation based on your engines or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, you can move, wait, and then execute in whatever order is most action efficient, or else you're fucked.
Yep.
We look forward to your reply to this in 5 years when you catch up to our most recent episode that we have finally answered this on. I guess we could reply to the BGG.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm probably going to reply to it just in case they were just like, hey, I see, like, they don't even know us as a concept of a board game podcast, that they're just like, hey, I saw your message on this, so how do you do this?
Yeah. How do you do this?
Yeah. But if they did actually listen to our review, thank you.
Absolutely.
One day, maybe.
One day.
We'll go back. Whenever Adrian quits that stupid job of his.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's it for listener feedback.
Yes.
For real this time.
Yes.
You can reach us a variety of ways. Jeff, what's the best way?
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
Yeah. We're also on Twitter. Adrian's under MHGameGuys. I am at Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
As you just heard, we have a guild over at Board Game Geek.
2731.
Guild number. Yeah. Especially if we can ever start doing streams or reviews and stuff again, we're definitely going to start posting on there.
Yes.
So we'll see. We also have a Slack, which you can find through any of your podcast apps. The notes for the episode the link should be on there. You should come check it out. That is the main way to berate us or let us know or talk about anything but us.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
Did we say Twitch?
Oh, well, we do have a Twitch. Twitch.
We stream episodes,
TV
but not this one.
Yeah, not this one because it's just us two.
Yep.
And I was not even going to begin to try and figure that out.
Yeah. Twitch.tv MHGameGuys for
yes,
for our regular podcast streams and inevitable return to live playing of board games.
Yep.
Which are all up on our YouTube.
Also, yes, YouTube. You can watch some of our old ones and then bitch at us because we were lying. Apparently.
Yes, absolutely. Filthy.
Call us out. Everything.
Purposefully disingenuous horse shit.
Yes. All right. Well, that has been just us.
Yep.
On this episode. Surely Adrian will be on at some point. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
We were gonna do this last week, just us recording, but then we could not for
because it was Labor Day, right? Was it Labor Day?
It was Labor Day. It was just
Labor Day.
We were gonna do it. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It's time is a cruel mistress these days. So we couldn't do it, and then we were.
Oh, I was at work until like forever. I think that's what.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
It's been a nightmare.
But yeah, we're not gone. Unlike a lot of podcasts these days.
Yeah, more dropping by the week.
Yeah.
Some
look
purposefully.
Go ahead.
Some forcefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll be here until at some point when we won't, because that's just at some point all three of us will die as human beings, and then you know what? The podcast will be over by then.
No one lives forever. Nope. What was the Deadpool? There was no Deadpool on the Queen because she was going to live forever, but
that's true.
Yeah. Someone would have made a lot of money.
Yeah, but then, and now we have King Charles. So was it worth it?
Third?
I guess. Yeah. Yep.
And I doubt he's going to reign for another 70 years.
Yes. One thing I saw was that I saw somebody say that, and I didn't fact check because why would I?
Yep.
That he was the oldest person to have become king, basically since the 900s or whenever it was that England like started doing it.
Great.
And he's still 4 years younger than Biden.
Good to know.
Good to know. Go U.S. politics.
Yay!
Yeah. All right. On that note, I am still Zach.
Yes. I'm Coffee Jeff. I've kept most of them. I've kept most of them silent.
But deadly.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.